What's up, guys doing? This is David Manny, the Samoan Watchman, and hopefully the sound is coming in clear. I'm so upset about sound. My $300 microphone, and it should work good, but because the laptop I have is crappy, I still haven't fixed my computer. It's not compatible. Anyways, didn't mean to start off on a negative note. Thanks for stopping by the Samoan Watchman channel, and I'm using my work headset today. It seems to be the only thing that's working, but I'll figure it out. Anyways. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are blessed, and hope you guys are just enjoying this awesome thing that we have, this gift called life. I decided to start a new series. Um, I've been thinking about just incredible people that I've met along my journey, incredible people that God had put in my way so that I can receive a lesson. Uh, um, because everybody has something to bring to the table, you know, as far as life and this journey and the experiences that we have. The beautiful thing about life is that you don't have to figure it out completely on your own. I mean, yes, we do have to. However, we have this awesome ability to learn from one another, and I really want to emphasize on that because you're not meant to be here alone, and you could easily fall into that trap and that way of thinking of thinking that you're alone in this world, that nobody cares, that you don't matter. Uh, that's not true. God has a purpose for you, and that purpose might be the biggest thing, it might be the smallest thing, but you play a role here in this life. And I think it's cool just encountering other people and learning from their experiences. It's a beautiful thing to see one person teach another, to see one individual pour out their experiences and pour out the wisdom that they've gained, through the bumps of this life. I think it's an amazing thing. So there's been some really cool people that when I sit there and just reminisce on life and people that I've met along my journey and things that I've learned from them and carried from them into adulthood. And as I live life now, there are values that I have in place that I have learned or gained from other people, random people. And you never know what's going to come from it. I think it's pretty cool that we have the ability to share this, um, wisdom, share knowledge, share your experience. All right. Don't let people just. I mean, there's times where you got to let people fall a couple times so that they can learn, right? But then there's opportunities for you to say, hey, before you get into this, this is what I've learned when I went into it. And, sometimes permission has to be given. Sometimes it has to be asked for. Don't just go around, you know, pouring out your knowledge on people who didn't ask for it. There's times where you gotta, like ask, like, hey, can I help you? Can I make a suggestion? Hey, can I tell you something? Can I tell you what happened to me? Can I share this with you? I see that you're going through whatever situation. Can I share this with you? It makes a big difference. And that's something I learned in business. Just communicating with folks, especially you married people, it makes a big difference if you say, hey, can I make a suggestion? Instead of like, why don't you just, what I'm saying? There's a big difference. There's a big difference. So today, I was remembering Todd. So if you don't know, I grew up in the hood in Long Beach. I grew up in one of the worst neighborhoods in North Long Beach, and then moved into another neighborhood which is just as bad. But I've gained so much experience living in this hotel, or it's an inn, a motel. It's called the International Inn. It was the biggest crack house in Long Beach. I mean, we had this. If you ever wonder where hookers or PCH stayed throughout the day, it was at the International Inn. But there were also a lot of families there. There were also lots of old folks who were still staying there, secret hotel rooms, and this inn. Right? I don't know if it's a motel. It's considered a motel, but it's like a small hotel. I guess I don't know. There's no customer service or anything, but there was, um, breakfast and all that stuff, bagel rooms, and there were tons of families that lived there. And we lived there for, man, what is it, like 5 years? All throughout high school, I lived there, and a little bit afterwards, and until we moved to a house back in the hood where I grew up. But um, I'm not complaining about it. It was actually kind of fun. There was so there. There were people coming and going. People that would lose a house or lose their place, they would come and stay at this hotel. And so you get a mix of you know this crazy environment with drug dealers and prostitutes, and then you also get these people from the old school, pe- people who were alone and lived in these hotels, and they had it set up like a kitchenette in there, so it was like pretty much like a studio. Is what it was. Yeah, you had two doors, a bathroom, and some of these rooms were kitchenettes, and people learned how to. You learn how to adapt. People have the ability to adapt and create a home in any space. It's a crazy thing. It's kind of cool how we do this. And there's a few people that come to mind. Um, there's an old lady named Beth. Um, there's a few families, a few childhood friends that come to mind when I think about this place. And maybe I might do more episodes on some of the experiences and people that I've met along the way. People who have passed away. There was like 6 or 7 people that died there that we knew, and it is still said that there people are spotting their spirits. Still lingering around the hotel today. That old motel with with the drug dealing and the prostitution and the meth labs. Today, that place is probably the fanciest hotel that you can get in Long Beach, California. It's pretty crazy the transformation that was made. And it all comes down to awesome leadership in business. But today I want to talk about Todd. Todd was a guy who lived in this hotel for years, and he had one of the best rooms. There was one of our buildings that was only a second story. The first floor was an open concrete area where they used to be filled with pool tables and ping pong tables, and it's right along the pool. So it's where families would set up their parties while their kids played in the pool, and they had a huge swimming pool. Two, as a matter of fact, one for those made meant for babies. Um, and Todd had a room that was in that building, which any room in that building was kind of cool because they were the only rooms that had balconies, and they overlooked the pool. And so it was a great little room he had. And this guy was, I don't know, it's 80s, 90s. Um, this guy would come down, get his mail, go back up to his room, have food delivered to his room. He rarely left to go anywhere. Old white man. And for a guy who lives in the hood, and I'm talking like in the hood, this guy was up there still living the same lifestyle for decades and still dressing the way he did back in the day. I mean, he lives in the hood, but he's wearing trousers and a dress shirt and a vest, a sweater vest. you and it didn't. He wasn't about letting the neighborhood affect the way he lived. He still lived the same style. And so probably the whole neighborhood, it's all Samoan, Mexican, Filipino. We had a lot of Jewish there. There was a lot of people there, and you could tell it was a predominantly white neighborhood, and it was like a resident. It used to be the suburbs, but it's now turned into the hood. Um, so you still see little remnants of past still lingering around. And this guy would come down, just grab his mail, and head back up. And that was the only time we see Todd, unless he was calling down for towels or anything like that. By the way, my mom was the manager of this hotel, and so I would help a lot by delivering towels and stuff like that. As while we also lived there, and um, this guy eventually moved, and when he moved to these brand new uh, skyscraper condo units downtown Long Beach, and they're brand new, and you could tell it's top dollar to stay there. Easily, you know, $3,000 to $4,000 for rent a month for a one-bedroom condo up there. And he didn't have anybody to move stuff, so he hired me, my brother, and some friends, and we moved everything for him. And I remember we went to his room. He said everything's already packed. The only thing I need help with, is to dismantle my desk. And he had this huge workstation, engineering desk with like the table was sort of a slant. It's a big white boards that you move around, and the table like can separate. It can adjust heights. It can adjust the tilt. I mean, it was meant for him. And I remember, like, every time I would look up to his room while I'm swimming, um, he was always at his desk, looking out the window, and then drawing something up. He was an engineer, and he would draw blueprints for it. I have no idea what he did for what he was designing up there. But that's what he did. And he said, "I need help moving this desk. It's really heavy. There's so many parts to it." So we took that thing apart, put it in my truck, and along with his other belongings, and we delivered it downtown to his new condo. Carried everything up. My friends and I did. Um, Put his bed together, and helped him. And he paid us all. You know, I think it was like a couple $100 each. And we were happy, to help him out. And he asked me to do this job, and I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." And he said, "Okay, it's in a couple months, and I'll let you know, when we get closer." And he started, talking to us. Every time he'd come downstairs, he'd say, "Hey, not the job's not yet. I'm not moving yet, but it's coming up soon." And he would start engaging in conversation, and on a daily basis. And one day, I remember sitting on the stairs, and he's coming down, and I scoot over so he can get by me, and he goes, "Hey, how you doing?" And I had a habit of saying, "I'm all right." That's all. That was always my response. Like, "Hey, how are you?" "I'm all right." "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" "I'm all right." That was always my response. And he walked by me, and then he stopped and turned around, and he goes, "Just all right?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "Listen." He goes, "You don't say that." And he said it. It's either good or bad. It's either good or bad. It's not all right. I mean, don't you think you're doing good right now? You're healthy, you're strong, you're young, you have a nice truck. Had a brand new F-150 at the time. You're a smart kid. You're doing good. So don't just say all right. And I said, "Yeah, you're right, sir." And he goes, "So let me ask you again, how you doing today?" And I almost said all right, and I said, "I'm doing good." And that's the first time I remember saying that. You know, and I've never said I'm all right or I'm all right to anybody else again, because every time somebody asks me, and that's how crazy it is to leave an impression on somebody. You never know. Your conversation will leave an impression on somebody. It could be the smallest thing. From there on, and I think I was like 18 at the time. From there on out, every time in my mind, every time somebody physically comes up to me and says, "Hey, David, how are you today?" And I'm giving a response. I have Todd's voice in my ear. I have that memory exactly where I was at, how bright it was, a beautiful day, sunny day, and the location I was in. And the hotel, the building was actually a beautiful building. It was a beautiful hotel, even though there was a lot of stuff going on inside. But it was an amazing place. The infrastructure, whoever designed that hotel, the old school, man, I'm remembering now, the hotel that was built in the 50s. Um, but yeah, I never forgot that. So that was lesson number one from Todd. And two, he started telling me because we went to move his right, and it's a brand new place. I'm like, dude, this guy's living a high life now. And he starts telling me, and he was a short old man. He tells me that he was in the military and then he divorced. And he starts telling me that he was at the beach. I think it was the Battle of Normandy. I might be wrong, but it's the beach that comes on the movie Saving Private Ryan. And he goes, you should count your blessings. He said you should count your blessings and always be grateful for who you are and what you have and the way God made you. And he goes, see, you're a pretty tall kid. Right? He goes, you're about how tall are you? And I was like, oh, I'm 6'2". He goes, that's cool. He goes, sometimes I wish I was 6'2". He goes, but I'm 5'8". And then I go, okay. And he goes, yeah, if you're short, you always wanted to be tall. If you're fat, you always want to be skinny. But always be grateful for who you are and know that God made you for a reason. And he said he used to be like, wishing and hoping and praying, like, oh, I wish I was just 2 inches taller. If I could just be 2 inches taller, things would be different for me. He was a short man. I don't know if he was ever married, if he ever fell in love, if he ever had children. I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure he's passed on by now. But Todd tells me about that story there where he was in that battle when they stormed that beach, right? And he said, that movie Saving Private Ryan, the beach scene in the beginning, that battle scene? I said, yeah. He goes, I was there. I go, really? Wow, that's crazy. And he said that when they're on that little boat headed towards the beach to storm the beach, he was in the front and his best friend was right behind him. And his best friend had his hand on his shoulder and they were singing songs and they were praying and pitching themselves, getting ready to get to this beach and go to battle. And they knew what was in store for them. People were going to die. They knew that. And he said when that door opened, right? He said when that door opened, he instantly became grateful for his height, for him being such a short guy. He said I used to always pray that I was 2 inches taller. But if I was 2 inches taller, Dave, I wouldn't be here today. He said that when those gates opened, bullets came at them, and he said a bullet went right over his helmet and took his friend out, hit his friend right in the face, and he watched his friend die. And they continued to fight, and he fought on that beach, knowing his best friend had just died right behind him as that 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 gate on that boat dropped. How do you continue the battle knowing your friend in the very beginning, best friend? And he said from then on, he thanked God that he was 5'8", that he wasn't 2 inches taller, because if he was 2 inches taller, his friend would be there living that life that he's living now, telling the story of his other friend. And he made you the way that you are for a reason. Don't ever wish it were different. We're grateful. That's Dang, Todd. Let me not forget that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, and that God knew exactly who I was going to be and how I was going to be as He made me. Every life is precious. Every life is cherished, should be cherished. And I want you to know, my friends of the Samoan Watchman channel, the Samoan Watchman channel. God made you with a purpose, and He made you just the way you are. Don't wish it were different. There's things that you can do to change. You can get healthier. You can get smarter. You can get a little more fit. Lose a little bit of weight. But don't wish things were different. God made you the way you're supposed to be. You are who you are for a reason. And just know that you're blessed. I want to share that little lesson today that I got from Todd. Todd, if you're still alive, man, thank you for correcting me into answering that question properly. When someone asks me how I'm doing throughout the day, it's either bad or it's good, but it's never I'm all right or I'm all right. All right, which I hope for you guys, it's that you're doing good for the majority of the time. I know we all have issues. Also, Todd, thank you for your sacrifice for fighting for this country, for my freedom to be here. I know that my people come from a different land, and we have freedom here because of battles that were won and battles that were fought. And thank you, Todd, for teaching me to be grateful. I pray you guys are blessed with that message, that little story I wanted to share. God bless you all. Praise the Lord, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. If you don't know Him, get to know Him. Ask me, I'll introduce you to Him. He's my best friend, and He could be yours too. All right, stay blessed, you guys. Question never thin. Love each other, man. Take care.